Started on a quiet Sunday morning. Ethan Cole, a freelance filmmaker from Portland, was hunting for old props at a neighborhood yard sale. He liked vintage things, especially old cameras, projectors, anything that looked like it had a story behind it. At the end of a cluttered driveway, beside a box of dusty VHS tapes, he found one that stood out. A plain black cassette, no label, except for a piece of masking tape across the front. In shaky handwriting, it read, "Do not watch." Ethan chuckled, assuming it was some kind of prank. He asked the old man running the sale, "What's this one?" The man's eyes flicked toward it, and his smile faded. He hesitated. "That shouldn't have been out here." Before Ethan could respond, a woman, maybe the man's daughter, rushed over and whispered something urgently. The old man frowned, nodded slowly, then turned back. "If you really want it, take it." "No charge," he said, sliding the tape across the table. "But if you watch it, don't watch it alone." Voiceover, low, tense. He should have walked away. But curiosity is louder than fear. That night, back in his apartment, Ethan couldn't stop thinking about the tape. He didn't even own a VHS player anymore, so he borrowed one from a friend who ran a small film restoration shop downtown. When he got home, the clock read 12:47 a.m. Rain tapped against the window. The city outside was asleep. He turned off the lights, connected the player to his monitor, and pressed play. Static. A faint hum. Then, an image. A living room. Dimly lit. A camera pointed at a couch covered in plastic sheets. At first, there was nothing strange about it. Just a still, empty shot, like someone had accidentally left their camera recording. But after about 20 seconds, a faint sound came through. A whisper. Barely audible. 3 words. "Do you see it?" Ethan leaned closer to the screen, squinting. The camera zoomed in, on its own. The VHS player clicked. The screen flickered. Someone was sitting on the couch now. A woman, her back to the camera, her head slightly tilted. The air in the room around Ethan felt suddenly heavier, thicker. He paused the tape. The screen froze. The woman's face, half-turned, was blurred, but her mouth was open, as if mid-sentence. He pressed play again. The screen went black. Then flashed a new scene. Now the camera faced a staircase. Old wooden steps. A faint light at the top. And at the bottom, a shadow. Someone, or something, was standing just out of frame. Ethan leaned in again, goosebumps rising. The sound grew louder, like breathing, close to the microphone. Then, a sharp knock echoed, not from the tape, but from somewhere behind him. He froze. Muted the TV. Silence. He waited. Nothing. Then another knock, this time from inside the wall behind his desk. Ethan forced a nervous laugh. "Old pipes," he muttered, though his voice trembled. He turned the volume back up. On screen, the camera was now moving up the stairs slowly, step by step. The image trembled, as if whoever was filming was terrified, or trying not to breathe. The tape flickered again. And this time, Ethan's own living room appeared on screen. He blinked. The same couch. The same window. The same framed picture on the wall. At first, he thought maybe it was coincidence, an apartment that looked like his. But then, the camera panned right. And there, sitting at his desk on the screen, was him. Ethan. Headphones on, typing, unaware of the camera recording from behind. He stared at the image, his stomach twisting. What the hell? He checked behind him, nothing. Checked the window, closed. Door, locked. He rewound the tape, trying to make sense of what he'd seen. But when he pressed play again, the tape showed only static. Ethan exhaled shakily and decided to stop for the night. He turned off the player, ejecting the tape, but the cassette came out warm, as if it had been running for hours. He slid it onto his shelf and went to bed. But he couldn't sleep. Every few minutes, he heard faint clicking sounds, like a tape being rewound. At 3:17 a.m., his TV turned on by itself. Static filled the room. Ethan sat up, heart pounding. He grabbed the remote and turned it off. But when he looked at the screen's reflection, for just a split second, he saw the woman from the tape standing behind him. Morning came. He tried to brush it off as exhaustion. Maybe he'd imagined it. But when he checked his camera that afternoon, there was a new file, recorded at 3:17 a.m. A 12-second clip. Dark, grainy, handheld footage. He pressed play. The camera faced his bedroom. It moved closer to the bed, slowly. And stopped at his nightstand. The lens turned down toward the floor. And there, barely visible in the corner of the frame, was his reflection in the TV screen. Eyes wide open. Staring straight into the camera. Voiceover, low, chilling. It started with a warning label. Do not watch. But he did. And the tape wasn't finished yet. Ethan should have thrown the tape away that morning. He should have burned it. But he didn't. Because fear has a strange way of looking like curiosity. Until it's too late. The next day, Ethan couldn't focus. Everywhere he went, he felt watched. When he turned on the lights in his studio, shadows seemed to linger half a second longer than they should have. He told himself it was just exhaustion, until he opened his laptop and found something waiting for him. A folder. One he didn't remember creating. Its name was just a date, 03-17. Inside were 10 video clips. All black thumbnails. All exactly 12 seconds long. He opened the first one. Static. Then, faint breathing. The camera panned across his living room, stopping at his own couch. The same couch from the tape. Clip 2. The camera faced his door. Someone, or something, was standing outside the peephole. He could see the shadow moving, but never knocking. Clip 3. The lens turned toward his bedroom. His own sleeping form visible beneath the covers. But the timestamp read last night. Ethan's pulse thudded in his ears. He unplugged the VHS player, tossed it in a box, and stuffed the tape inside. Then he called the yard sale owner. A woman's voice answered, the same one who'd rushed to stop her father before. Ma'am, it's Ethan Cole, he said, trying to sound calm. I bought an old VHS tape from your yard sale. The one that said do not watch. Something's wrong with it. The woman went silent. After a moment, she whispered, you watched it, didn't you? Ethan swallowed. I just needed to know what was on it. Her voice trembled. Whatever you do, don't record it. Don't copy it. Don't let it see you again. See me? He repeated. What do you mean? But the line went dead. That night, Ethan did what every filmmaker would do, he tried to analyze it. He set up his camera to document everything, hoping to catch a logical explanation. He pointed it at the VHS player, inserted the tape again, and pressed play. Static hissed across the screen. Then came the same living room scene as before. But this time, it looked different. The camera angle was lower. Closer to the ground. And the faint outline of feet, bare feet, could be seen pacing back and forth. The whisper came again. Do you see it? Ethan's hand trembled as he pressed pause. The frame froze. The feet stopped. Except, the toes twitched. Even paused, the image moved. Ethan stumbled backward, unplugging everything. The screen flickered once. Then turned to static. He stood there, breathing hard, surrounded by silence. Then came a faint sound. A soft click from the camera he had set up. It had turned on. By itself. Ethan grabbed the camera, hit stop, and rewound the footage. When he played it back, he expected to see himself panicking in his apartment. But the recording showed something else entirely. A dark hallway. Flickering light. The sound of footsteps on wood. Then, the camera tilted upward. Revealing a door at the end of the hall. His door. The camera moved closer. The image began to shake, as if whoever was holding it was trembling. The lens pressed against the peephole. From inside the apartment, he could hear a muffled version of his own voice. Talking on the phone. "Whatever you do, don't let it see you again," the woman had said. And from the other side of the door, through the peephole, a faint reflection stared back at him. Not his own. Someone else's face. Eyes black, lips moving soundlessly. The video cut off. Ethan's hands shook as he dropped the camera. "What the hell is this?" he whispered. He turned on every light in the apartment. But no matter how bright it got, the shadows still clung to the corners. The static sound never stopped. Even with the TV unplugged, it hummed faintly in the background. Like white noise crawling through the walls. Later that night, his phone buzzed. An email, from an address he didn't recognize. Subject: "You left the tape running." No message. Just an attachment, footage_04.mov. He clicked it open. The clip began with his own face. Asleep in bed again. Then, the camera turned. Panned toward the door. And there, standing in the hallway, was the woman from the tape. Her face blurred, but her outline sharper now, as if coming into focus. She lifted her hand and placed it on the lens. The video ended. The more he watched, the clearer she became. The tape wasn't replaying memories. It was rewriting them. The next morning, Ethan woke up to the smell of burnt plastic. The VHS player sat on the table, still smoking, though it hadn't been plugged in. The tape had melted halfway through, fused inside. He grabbed it, ran outside, and threw it into the garbage chute. He didn't even watch it fall. He packed a bag, deciding to stay at a friend's place for a few days. But as he reached for his keys, something caught his eye. His TV was on again. On the screen, frozen mid-frame, was an image of his apartment door. Someone had recorded from outside, again. This time, the timestamp read, "Live." Ethan stared at the screen. A cold realization sank in. The tape was gone. But the feed was still playing. He moved closer to the TV, whispering. "Who's there?" For a moment, nothing. Then the screen flickered, and a familiar voice answered. His own. "I told you not to record it." Ethan unplugged the TV, then smashed it. The image vanished, but the hum continued, filling the room like a living heartbeat. He dropped to his knees, clutching his head, whispering to himself. "It's not real. It's not real." But then his phone buzzed again. A new file. This time, titled simply. Final_reel. He didn't open it. He didn't need to. Because the thumbnail already showed what was inside. A still frame of his own face. Eyes wide open. Mouth twisted in a silent scream. The background, his bedroom. The timestamp, tomorrow, 3:17 a.m. Voiceover, final, haunting. The tape doesn't end when you stop watching. It ends when it's done recording. Every story leaves a trace. Some are written in memory. Some are recorded in sound. And some refuse to stop playing. When Ethan saw the file titled Final_reel, he knew it was already too late. But instead of deleting it, he transferred it to a USB drive. Maybe, he thought, someone could analyze it. Prove it was some elaborate hack or glitch. He drove across town to his friend Mara, a digital archivist who specialized in restoring old media. When he arrived, she was surprised by how pale he looked. "You look like you've seen a ghost," she joked. He didn't laugh. He handed her the drive. "Please tell me this is fake," he said quietly. "Tell me this is just code, pixels, anything but real." Mara plugged it in. A single video file appeared, timestamped for tomorrow. She frowned. Predated file? That's weird, but not impossible. Sometimes the system clock glitches. She clicked it open. The footage began with Ethan's apartment. Empty. Still. Except for the faint hum of static, like an old TV left on somewhere out of frame. Then the camera turned. And showed Mara's studio. Mara's hand froze over the keyboard. "Wait, what the hell?" Ethan leaned closer. It was the same room they were standing in right now. Same lights. Same monitors. Same cup of coffee on the desk. And then, the camera in the video began to move. It tilted toward the corner of the room, where an old VHS player sat on a shelf. A faint click echoed from the real one beside them. It had turned on by itself. The air grew heavier. The lights flickered once. Mara backed away. "Ethan, what did you bring me?" "I told you," he whispered, "I didn't record this." On screen, a shape appeared in the reflection of the studio window. A woman, her face still blurred, but sharper now. Almost human. Almost familiar. She lifted a hand toward the lens, palm open. And on her palm, written in black marker, was a single word. Record. The camera wants witnesses. Because without an audience, the story fades. Mara yanked the USB from her computer. The monitors went black instantly. But the sound, the static, didn't stop. It came from the VHS player now. The tape tray opened slowly, though it was empty. Smoke drifted out, cold, like mist. Ethan whispered, "It's not supposed to do that." From inside the tray, a faint glimmer appeared. A strip of tape unwinding itself, curling toward the floor. It slithered across the tiles like a living thing. Then, as it touched the light, it began to play on the wall. Images flickered across the white paint. Ethan's apartment. Mara's studio. A hallway. A staircase. Each frame overlapping, like layers of time fighting for space. Then came the voice again. "Do you see it?" Mara screamed. Because this time, she did. The blurred woman was standing behind Ethan in the projection. Hand on his shoulder. But when Ethan turned around in the real room, there was no one there. He stumbled backward, knocking over a light stand. The footage kept playing, now showing him in real time. Every movement mirrored perfectly. Except one. On the wall projection, his reflection turned its head toward the camera, even though Ethan hadn't moved. It smiled. The lights exploded. Darkness swallowed the room. Ethan could only hear breathing, his own, and another faint echo matching it perfectly. Then, a whisper directly behind him. "Final reel, complete." He spun around. Nothing. Mara groped for her phone flashlight, and when it flicked on, the room was filled with static shapes, outlines of faces half-formed in the flickering air. Dozens of them. Trapped like impressions in smoke. The VHS player clattered violently, gears spinning even though it held no tape. The screen on the wall showed text, white letters over black. Recording. The camera doesn't just capture moments. It collects them. The footage on the wall changed again. Now it showed Ethan and Mara standing exactly as they were now. Her light shining, his face pale. But the timestamp read 10 minutes ahead. Mara whispered, "Ethan, we need to leave. He nodded. But as they turned toward the door, the projection changed again. Now showing them lying motionless on the floor. The timestamp, now. The lights died. For 3 long seconds, there was only static sound. Then the camera in the footage moved closer to their bodies. The woman's blurred face appeared again. Only this time, she wasn't blurred. It was Ethan's mother. The same woman he'd lost 20 years ago. Same eyes. Same necklace. She looked straight into the camera. And whispered. "You recorded over me." Ethan dropped to his knees, realization striking like lightning. He'd once used an old VHS years ago, to record a student film. He'd taped over something. Something real. That's what this was. A residual recording. The tape had been her grave. And now it wanted him too. The projection flashed violently. Mara screamed as the walls rippled, the air thick with static distortion. The smell of ozone and burnt tape filled the room. Ethan reached toward the VHS player, shouting. "I'm sorry. I didn't know." The screen's light turned blood red. The words appeared one last time. "Recording complete." The room went black. Voiceover, soft, almost a whisper. They found the studio 2 days later. The computers fried. The walls coated in soot. 2 cameras still recording, their batteries dead. No trace of Ethan or Mara. Only a VHS tape sitting on the table. Labeled, in handwriting both new and old. The forgotten tape. Weeks later, a police archivist digitized the tape for evidence. He didn't believe in curses. He just wanted to see what all the fuss was about. When the file uploaded, the screen went black. Then came the familiar static hum. And in the reflection of his monitor, someone was standing behind him. Camera in hand. Voiceover, final line, fading out. The thing about recording the past is sometimes the past starts recording you.